This is the third video in the Unicorn series, and really this is the third option in the same play that we've been looking at before. So let me give you the translation and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Or when you've come before your opponent in the Unicorn, then note when he cuts from above and let your blade travel around your head and bind him on his sword from your right across against his left. As soon as he goes up away from this, let your blade snap around again so that your right hand comes over the left and fall on him with your short, and his question mark might mean long, edge, and crossed hands while he is still going up in front of his arms, as you can see in the figure on the right in the small scene on the right in image I. Shove him from you with your shield forcefully towards your left to the outside and cut quickly to the nearest opening while he falters, or hold him off this way by pursuing him until you can get an opportunity. So what we are seeing is we have done the same setup that we've done before. We've done the slashes, we've done the two wing cuts, we've done the counter cut, and now in the last two videos we've seen where we can take up from their sword and do the false edge cut, or if we start to realize they're pushing in on us, we're going to wrench down and then cut back. This time the opponent's going to kind of pull away from us to try to get another cut. So from here they're going to leave our sword to pull up to try and cut us again. Rather than pull back and do anything else, what we're going to do is we're going to press into that space. So we're going to kind of chase them in. We're going to fill that gap that's being created by them pulling back with our body and our sword. This is important because if they pull back and I just do this and only the very end of my sword is on their arms, in front of their arms, there's a good chance they're just going to lever down, shoving my sword and cracking me in the head. Particularly in a sporting context where they don't have to worry about getting cut. If I have a weak slice with just the very tip of my sword, you know, the very tip of the sword's on the arms, they're just going to pull down and do it. So we want to come in with the body and the sword, making sure we're getting the mid to strong so that we have good leverage. We can kind of hold them back. So for the shorthand for this is we've done the warm-up. So I just think from my Unicorn position, counter cut, chase, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove them over and probably just cut around. You actually see this in the thwart plays and some of the earlier manuals with the knock, where you've done a thwart cut and then you knock their sword and cut around. We're just doing that same motion to this side. So again, let me give you a slightly more clear version. So from the Unicorn, counter cut, chase, knock and hit. That's kind of what we're doing today. Some things to be mindful in addition to making sure you're coming in with your body so that you're getting a good leverage point on the sword. If you are operating in a tournament culture that is more sensitive to blade on body grappling content, there's some SEA kingdoms that are much more restrictive in the way they view that. If it's going to be douchey to put your blade on somebody's arms and shove them, don't do that. The adaptation I would recommend is from here, just chase with your tip up, chase across their sword so that you're crossing their blade above, and then you can actually still do the knock onto their weapon and come around. I think the easiest continuation of a cut from this kind of lead edge knock is a back edge cut. So if I can shove my opponent's sword or arms towards my left with the knock, I'm just going to let that motion roll around. So, Unicorn, counter cut, chase, knock and hit, and then maybe we leave again. So when I'm practicing this on the Pell, what I do is I'm going to start from Unicorn, counter cut, and I'll actually chase and make sure that I'm getting, you know, kind of the midpoint of my sword on the Pell, and then I will shove, and I want my edge to run along because I want to make sure I'm getting this good forward motion, shove, and then I'll hit with the false edge. Then later. Certainly you can do other attacks, I just find that is the one that flows very nicely into it. So, Unicorn, counter cut, chase, shove, false edge, hit and leave. So this is, again, not a whole lot of new stuff. This is another option from the play we've been working on. And what's nice about this kind of series is that, yes, we get technical advice. Pick up and hit with the false edge, wrench and hit, and now, you know, chase in with the pressure, knock and hit. But the kind of overall lesson is sensitivity, that the feeling, the Fulin that you hear so much about. Because all of them come from, once I'm here and I want to go on to my next thing, is the person stable, allowing me time and space to take off with the false edge and come back down to the sword? Are they pressing in so that I need to wrench and hit? And now, are they pulling up? Are they creating this space that I can step in and inhabit and then knock and hit? So all of these are options based on what your opponent is doing, and you have to be aware of your opponent and have that sensitivity to be able to do it. So just like before, I like to practice these in a series. So I can definitely come unicorn, countercut, pick up, back to lowing point, unicorn, countercut, wrench, back edge, cut away, or back again, back down to long point, and now unicorn, countercut, chase, knock and hit. So I now have 3 options that based on what my opponent is doing, I can do from this position, and I can practice them in a series. So go ahead and play with that. We're gonna get something a little bit different next week, but definitely think of these as options A, B, and C for this first unicorn play, and message me if you have any questions.